Osiris New Dawn is a game that has been in early access for far too freaking long. I've wanted to review this no less than 3 times, but kept holding back due to all the development issues and waiting for a solid direction to be established. Unfortunately, this game has yet to find one, but has been given a ton of updates recently. I decided to take a look at it and see if this sci-fi survival game is finally worth playing. So when you start up the game, you must select your class as well as whether or not you'll be a male or a female. You then set up your starting skill points and assign them to a skill tree. And these are separated out into science, engineering, and combat. And performing tasks in either discipline will gain experience, which leads to more skill points added to the skill tree. It's a very simple and effective system. You also have 4 attributes to increase after leveling up. So those are strength, speed, stamina, and health. Again, very self-explanatory and pretty simple. Like all these survival sci-fi games, you end up crash landing on a planet and you need to grab your supplies from your escape pod to patch up your suit quickly. That'll be the first thing you need to do. This also happens when running into certain plants or getting hit by a creature. It's just way too easy to puncture your suit and have it to get patched up. It's kind of annoying, but there is a skill to reduce the chances of it happening, and I definitely recommend you go that route. So basically from here, you just follow the objectives to progress. You start out collecting scrap metal that's on your ship and from the debris. Then you find rocks, build a scrap hut, etc., etc. And you'll need to do this in order to unlock more advanced construction. So it's a pretty, again, simple formula, but it does work outside of you'll see. We'll get into some of the frustrations later. So the way you gather items is honestly pretty interesting. So the tool that you do use will depend on what you end up with. So let's say if you have like a blunt object like a pipe or something, use it on a tree, it will collect fruit, while a sharp tool like a knife or something like that will end up granting bark. But honestly, there's just so many things to collect. It can definitely get overwhelming finding where everything is. And this is for stuff that's organic life to find, like plants and stuff like that, to metals. It seems like they said, okay, let's look at the periodic table and get every single one of these elements in the game. It's honestly ridiculous. It's very overwhelming, and the map can be used to determine where to harvest certain metals. You also need the right tool as well to match the hardness level in order to successfully extract it. So most of my time I spent was, just driving, trying to find materials. So jumping ahead, but I eventually found a couple of vehicles, and the one that I used most was a buggy. It ended up needing some repairs, and it honestly took forever trying to find the right materials to fix it, taking the broken rubber, repairing it, and then replacing it with correct rubber, trying to find batteries, vice versa. It's a lot of wires, all that stuff. It's a lot that needed to be done. Then once I finally fixed it, then I needed to fix a barrel in order to store hydrogen from a geyser, because apparently it's hydrogen powered, and I actually find that kind of funny. But honestly, it worked. I mean, I filled it up. I got the buggy stuck early on, unfortunately, and I gone down the hill, and I ended up getting it out. But honestly, I just never could quite get the hang of it. I don't know what it is with these games and vehicles. They seem to just like give up when it comes to physics, and they always have like some of the wonkiest physics I've ever seen. It's unfortunate, and I was hoping that Osiris can buck the trend, but doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. Crafting is also very similar to other games. I mean, all these games basically craft the same way. You'll need also certain workbenches to create specific items, and some items here need a ton of materials, like I alluded to before. And there's just so many different elements, metals, gases to find. And honestly, it sounds interesting, but it just makes the game so much more freaking tedious. And then finding, okay, I need these materials to combine them together to make this metal or this alloy, and then put it here to make this piece to add to this. And it's just so freaking tedious. And everything in this planet is too spread out. So you're going to have to go from north to south constantly. It's just not fun, and honestly just really takes me out of the game. It's just tedious. However, one of the stronger aspects of the game is definitely exploring the mines, especially early on. So you use a light to see through on your suit, and you can upgrade your suit with a better light if you want, if you have the patience to get there. But there's honestly a great use of horror and tension, not knowing what you'll run into. There's some ambient sounds when you're going through, so it's honestly very scary, very well done, very atmospheric. It's also very rewarding as well, just looking through their containers, as the containers, they regenerate loot, so if you leave a place and come back, you'll most likely find something new. It does eventually get samey, and I think that is an issue. But honestly, this is the best element of the game. If they can expand this further with different kind of explorations, not just mines, I think that'd be pretty freaking cool. I mean, spoiler for ahead, I didn't get off this planet, but I mean, I'm curious. Like, there's a lot more that they can do, like maybe like an alien pit or something. The possibilities are endless here. But the combat itself, honestly, I could have sworn this was much better before. I don't know what happened. It's just frustrating early on trying to find the hitbox of certain enemies. I mean, these monsters are huge, and you got to hit them right at the right spot, or your weapon's just going to go through. And the enemies just seem to just run through you and slide all over the place. It just looks very unnatural, and the animations just look terrible. They're just over pursuing as well, leaving different biomes. But later on, combat becomes a literal joke with an assault rifle, and once you get high explosive diamond bullets, which diamonds are not that hard to find if you look through the mines, you can just kill any enemies, even the biggest enemies I find, in just a few shots. It's honestly very, satisfying when you finally get to that point. It's like, holy cow. But it's just at that point, all threats are easily eliminated because it's very easy to replenish the ammo. So yeah, it's a joke at that point. And honestly, as you can tell for the tone of the review, I just don't have a lot of good things to say. And the game is just too damn buggy for its own good. And at this point, I mean, it should just be far more polished, but I don't know what's going on. The performance is just downright terrible with my 3060 Ti, which is absurd. Most games run, over 144 frames, no freaking problem. Especially well optimized ones. This is just not even using much of my resources when checking, so it's just poor optimization. I was also having performance issues with my 1060 before this, so yeah. I also had random bugs too when loading the game, missing items I had previously. But the biggest issue I had was I fell through the floor and I had no way out. And I kept hitting the button to restart and reset my position. Nothing was happening, so I had to quit the game and replay it, and that fixed it. But again, your mileage will vary because this stuff happens constantly for me. So if you have worse specs, I don't even know if the game is going to run for you. But honestly, I really just wanted to get into the spaceship building part of it, just because I feel like that's a major piece of it, and explore some other planets, yada yada. But honestly, I just was not enjoying the game. I think that's easy to say. It feels incredibly unfinished, despite being years in early access and given a variety of updates. The combat's just plain bad and somehow worse than what I remember. Too many materials, just tedium, and honestly, I don't even know what the game is trying to be anymore. Looks pretty, I guess, but just avoid this one entirely. Get either No Man's Sky, which has come such a long way and is a far better game than when I talked about it years ago, or Empyrean over this one, which is an early access game that's similar to this and done right. Because I still play both, so I'd recommend those games over this one. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. And this is Powerhouse, signing off.